Hello and welcome to our new meeting under the title of XPRIMM Business Meetings. We are here at FIAR a few moments before starting a conference of life insurance and private pensions, and we are pleased to talk with Mr. Matti LEPPALA. He is Secretary General and CEO of the European Federation of the Pension Funds Administrators, and also he is chair of the Stakeholders Committee for Occupational Pensions within EIOPA. Matti, I would start by asking you this thing. Demographic pressure is increasing all over Europe, and practically the pensions issues become more and more important from a day to another. How would you comment on the current situation in Europe regarding pensions?
A very good question. Thank you very much for having me in this very fine conference. A huge event. I'm sure it's a big success. And I'm happy to see that you're discussing pension issues from the fundamentals. So the demographic change is not a surprise, of course. Demographics is hard science, so you know very well years in advance that you will have problems with aging. It has to do with the dependency ratios, old age dependency ratio, and all kinds of other dependency ratios that the European member states are faced with. So demographic change, aging of Europe, is a real challenge. It's a big challenge for all of Europe, but for some countries more than others. The fertility rates, the number of children per woman, is not equal in all the states, all the member states. Some have more children, for example Ireland, but in some regions, in some countries, and especially in Central Eastern Europe, this is a very big problem. In Romania, for example, the population has already diminished, and the projections are that it will decrease even further. So it will be a very huge challenge for the public finances and for the pension systems to survive and to adapt to this change. The crucial issue is that the social security pensions, what's called the first pillar pensions, will not be sustainable without changing. Many changes have been made already because of European politics and policies. So member states have reformed the systems very much during the last 15-20 years. They have become financially much more sustainable. But the problem then that arises is that the pension levels will be much lower. So the adequacy issue is the crucial issue, how to deal with the adequacy of the pensions going forward. And there it is necessary, it is vital that people will save and are able to save for their own retirement now and in the future.
There are several or a multitude of solutions working in Europe, in fact. All kind of private pensions, I'm thinking there are occupational, there are mandatory, some of them were semi-mandatory. In some of them you are enrolled automatically and you can opt out. So it's a very large diversity. From your experience, which of these solutions do you think is more efficient or have proved until now to be more efficient?
It's essential to recognize that Europe is very diverse for historical reasons, for cultural reasons. So some countries have well-developed social partners. They have collective bargaining systems that cover all workers or almost all of them. And if you have occupational work-based pensions based on wide coverage of collective agreements, it gives you good opportunities to have good occupational pensions, and that is the case in countries like Denmark and the Netherlands. In some countries like the UK, this does not exist. Mandatory systems are not a policy option for historical, cultural reasons in UK, and they have opted for an auto-enrollment system where people are automatically enrolled in occupational pensions. They can leave if they want, but most have opted to stay in. So it has proven very successful in getting people into the system. In some other countries, mandatory based on legislation systems are available, but there the problem has been that if it's mandated by the state, some states have felt that they are they have the opportunity to roll back these systems and nationalize again the pension funds and pull back the assets to the social security system, which is of course a very adverse development. So there is no one solution that fits all, but increasing the coverage by the means that are available, whether it is collective bargaining, whether it's auto-enrollment, whether it's mandatory system, increasing the coverage of the occupational pensions, and then the savings levels, not just the coverage, but also the contribution levels, those are the essential issues.
Yes, in fact, I was just thinking to ask you, because most of these initiatives of reversing the pensions reforms came in the CE states, in the former communist states, and very successful experiences like Poland or Hungary system, which were working very well and were already well established, have been almost destroyed. And there are other similar initiatives or measures announced for other countries. Okay, everybody understands that the target, the immediate target, is collecting these assets and using them in macroeconomic purposes to maybe reach better indicators in this area. But on the longer term, what do you think would be, in fact, the effects of such measures?
Yes, that is a very unfortunate development. Europe and the European framework plays an important part in that these changes have been justified based on the European economic governance requirements, the debt and deficit levels of public finances. And if you take over the private assets and you put them in your public accounts, in the national accounts, it seems to improve the situation, but it's a very short-term solution. So the benefits of private funded pensions are long-term, and you need to have long-term policies. The returns from the private assets are very beneficial for the national economy and in the end for the public finances as well. So European framework has not been optimal for supporting private pensions in some of these countries like Hungary and Poland. But it is very evident and recognized by many in Europe and internationally that the problems for public finances will be they will be ever greater because of these changes, that the demographic challenges will be bigger for the public finances without the support of a diversified pension system where funded private pensions play an important part.
I would like to have from you a very short but definite answer. Of course, Pillar 2, as we are calling it in the Eastern Europe, this pillar of privately managed pensions, but with contributions prelevated from the contributions to the public system. Okay, obviously for the states we are talking about, it is a financial effort. They have to compensate somehow this deficit, let's say, they create but is it worth this effort or not?
It is worth it. The returns and the benefits from having private funded pensions are obvious, and there's a lot of evidence that shows that. So it is truly beneficial, but of course it is also true that these have to be real savings, that the savings stem from real work, from the real economy, and real savings into very different types of assets. The private pension investments are crucial for the development of good financial markets, which are also, of course, very important in Central and Eastern Europe.
Yes, of course. I would close our discussion with another topic, the one of the PEPs, the Pan-European Private Pensions Products, an initiative of EIOPA. Practically, it's a plan, ongoing plan, yes. which aims, as far as I understand, to create a product easy to transfer from a country to another in this globalized world where people are changing the country where they live quite often in some cases. What chances of success do you think such a product will have?
This is an interesting proposal. It's a regulation proposed by the Commission and now being debated in the European Council and in the Parliament. So the outcome is still very unclear, and the success depends on the details, the actual content of the regulation, which we still do not know. How much is harmonized at European level, how much is left for the member states, how are different types of providers treated in this, because the aim is that all European level entities could sell the product, so mutual funds, banks, insurance companies, but also pension funds. So very much is unclear. What is clear is that we need more mobility in Europe. We have also many mobile workers already who are not within any pension provision, and they also need to be able to save in good products for their pensions. And their third pillar personal pensions play an important part. For some people in some countries, not for all people in all countries. So we hope, as Pensions Europe, that the outcome, the product, will be a good one. It will provide better opportunities for more people, and it will be good enough so that the member states will provide good tax treatment for the product, because it also very much depends on the tax treatment that the member states opt for the PEP product that will deem the success of it. If there's no good tax advantages for PEP, it is very difficult to see how people could actually save in this product.
Do you think that the European entities, EIOPA or other such European organizations, should also take into consideration the idea of launching an European campaign of awareness? Because I think one of the factors of success is raising interest of the young generation for such a product.
Yes, I think all in all, there must be much more awareness for people that they understand the need to save in various forms for pensions, and also, of course, to stay longer in working life, and all of these main factors for good pensions. So it has to be all different parts. For the PEP, I think it will be a commercial product provided by different providers who are in competition with each other. So if and when there is PEP regulation and providers will start selling the PEP, I'm sure there will be a lot of information. But it is also important that EIOPA and the member states and European Union, different bodies of the European Union, inform people about the need to save and the opportunities that the PEP will provide.
Well, let's hope it will work well.
Yes.
Matti, thank you very much for your presence and for the interview. And I wish you a successful activity both in EIOPA and in the Pensions Europe.
Thank you very much.